was helping you structure your jokes and like your writing?
Nobody really. I mean, all you really can do as an up-and-coming comic is just watch other comics. Mm-hmm. And obviously you don't steal their shit, but you can, of course, you're going to base things off of your idols and the people you watch and love to watch the most because they share probably the same sense of humor that you do. Mm-hmm. So it's really just studying formats, writing, timing, stage presence, all that kind of stuff. But at the end of the day, it just has to be you, which takes years and years to just be able to do, which is crazy. It takes years to develop just being you on stage. And that probably hit me, like, I'd say, like 3 years ago. I'd say, like, I finally, like, I understand my voice on stage. I know how to write now for myself. So it just takes time. Yeah. But there was nobody, like, directly helping. I never had anybody to, like, really help me structure a set or anything. Wow. Anybody who's tried, I've been like, that just doesn't feel right, you know?
What do you mean, like, your voice now? So what is it? What do you think you figured out about yourself?
It's so hard.
Who are you, Matt Rife?
It's a very deep description. I don't really know how to put it in words. It's just a comfortability and a tone. And I think it comes from, like, the best way I can kind of use it as an analogy is, like, you ever be, like, repeating a story that happened to you that was hilarious to your friends? Exactly how you would tell it to your friends is how I like to talk on stage, which is just so loose and so free and just myself.
First thing I want to say, shout out to Chocolate Sundaes. It is one of the highlights of my career to be able to go to this legendary Laugh Factory in LA and share the stage with a lot of the comedians that I see online and see touring nationally. So shout out to them for everything they do. Bring back the podcast. I think that this was a great idea. And plus you got so many amazing comedians there. Take a little bit of time, knock those out and call it a day. It helps out a lot of us comedians. Now, with Matt Rife talking about finding your voice, it's very difficult for me. I don't know about any other comics out there, but for me, finding your voice is difficult. I've been doing comedy 7 years, okay? 7 years of doing stand-up, and just now I'm realizing that I can't always go with what someone else says. You know, when I was 4 years in, 3 years in, I had a certain style of comedy. It was very shock value. It was and that's really how I am in real life. Like, I like to say what I think in the moment. I like to talk about some things that may not be PC. I like to straddle the line just to see how far I could go. And I know now as a younger comic, that's not the best way to get booked and get work, at least from my experience, especially in the clubs, right? So when I was working with some of these comedy clubs early on, they were really adamant about, like, being clean and subject matter, right? Like, there was a club in Florida specifically where they were focused on, they knew their audience, they knew the people that came to the shows, and they would like to curate comics around the audience that they knew were coming out. And rightfully so, right? That's their business. It's what they've created. It's been there for plenty of years. So I definitely understood where they were coming from. But that wasn't the type of comedy that I did, right? But now 7 years in, I realized that I could be still myself, but also take my foot off the gas sometimes, right? Like, there's certain comics in the business that do not want you to be dirty when they're going to go on stage because they want all that shock value and dirtiness for when they get on the stage. TK Kirkland. There's a plethora of comics, but that's the one that I hear all the time, is that he doesn't want a certain type of comedy going up before he goes up. And again, rightfully so. Has been doing it 30 plus years. If you've been doing it that long, you have the right to determine who you want to open for you. Like, when I first started, it was really about shock value. It was really about speaking my mind, because I felt like, you know, in the corporate world, I can't speak like this. In the corporate world, I have to suppress some of my thoughts. And I'm like, well, I'm on stage. This is my opportunity to speak how I always wanted to speak. And there's a way to soften the blow, right? I was opening for a comedian in DC, And there was an OG comedian that came to watch me, and I opened up for a comedian. And the information they gave me was like, you say bitch a lot. You say bitch a lot in your set, and it's turning off the women in the crowd. And for me, I'm like, I'm getting laughs. Maybe I'm not paying attention to each woman in the crowd, but for someone to be doing it for a long period of time, what they said to me was, when they don't know you, and this is not your audience, you can turn off the crowd. So why would you cut off half the room? Because they say a lot of women are in the room compared to men. Why would you cut off half the room before you even get started? Right? And my thought was, man, they're giving me a hard time about my set. It took me a while to come up with these jokes. It's funny. This is my hard work. And they're like, scrap it. One of the OGs was like, that joke is not funny, scrap it. I got a joke. When I started off, I said, I hate bitches with braces. And I talk about why I don't like it. And he said, throw that fucking joke away. That joke is terrible. And I did not take that well, right? And I don't even remember the last time I told that joke. Because I let that linger in my mind of, that's not funny. Don't use those jokes because it can be offensive to people. But I had another OG by the name of Rodney Perry that said that if you structure that joke the correct way, it is hilarious. The things that you're saying, your thought process on it, it is extremely funny. You just have to figure out how to soften the blow on explaining it. And I was like, perfect. That's what I could have got. But each person is different, right? Like, I want to talk about being a father, but I don't necessarily want that all to be my set, right? I want that to be a portion of a set. I really want to talk about what my perception of this day and age of woman is, right? Like how I perceive women in this day and age, or how I looked at women when I was 20 compared to how I look at them at 40. Like, these are some of the ideas that I want to speak of, and it's not going to be the best light. It's not. When I was 4 years ago, Coco Brown was like, who do you think you are? You think you're the next Corey Holcomb? And I'm like, I'm talking about my own experiences. It doesn't matter who also talks like this. It's my experience, and my job as a comedian is to put out my experiences. But sometimes you just gotta do what you think is right. If it doesn't work, then it doesn't work, and the only person you have to blame is yourself. But finding your voice takes time. I like the fact that Matt was saying, like, I wanted to feel conversational. I wanted to feel intimate. I want to be able to talk like I talk to, the homies. And that's the idea, right? It's to be comfortable on stage, to talk about what you want to talk about. I don't mind being on the crowd's good side from the beginning. I'm okay with them not being on board with my thought process. But my job as a comedian is to make them laugh, but also explain my point of view and see if I can get them to say, I understand. Even though I don't agree, that's funny. So as a comedian, up and coming, find your voice. But don't allow the outside sounds to dictate what your voice is supposed to be. That's how I feel. I don't know how y'all feel. Y'all put it down in the comments. Do you think that you should listen to the OGs that have been doing it longer than you? Or do you just go out there and you wing it until you figure it out? I don't have the answers, but y'all let me know in the comments.